I know, right? You know, we've had, like, dips before in followers, but this is probably the biggest one we've had in the 2+ years that I've been streaming. So I'm just like, what's the brother gotta do, you know? People want to see COD and Dead by Daylight shit. It gets old quick. Yeah. COD. I mean, like, I don't understand people that want to see COD, Call of Duty, you know? Like, I'm sure a lot of people find it fun. I tried it once, though, and it's just like... I mean, for one, that's really toxic, you know? I don't like that. But, I mean, it's not nearly as fun to me as Apex, you know? I do not see why people like it. I mean, I get it with, like, the... It feels like you're in war, you know? I like that part of it, but... Everything else about it, I just don't like. And I've never played Dead by Daylight, so I can't say about that, but... See people stream Dead by Daylight for hours, it's fun if you're bored, but it's literally the same shit over and over, survive or die. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really get that. Yeah. Who games be like that, yeah. I mean, yeah, we do the same shit over and over in Apex, you know? There's, actually, this is a great example, with, fighting games, for instance. Fighting games are fun. I played a couple. I haven't played much, but when I was a kid, the thing I didn't like about fighting games, and while it is fun, and you know you can have a lot of fun with it, like if they have the story version or fighting other people online and everything, that's a lot of fun. But at the same time, it's just the same shit over and over again, you know. It's fun to do. It's fun to play for like a little while. But at the same time, it's just like, you know, there's a thing about like story games. Yeah, well, like one of the things I love about Final Fantasy, for instance, is that like it's a very long game, and yeah, you could play it over and over again, but each playthrough will always be different. You know, it'll never be the same. You know what I mean? While you're generally doing the same thing, it's just like, for example, like, say Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, if there's a secret that you haven't found on your first playthrough, but you did find in the second playthrough, you know, that's, like, super exciting, you know? I mean, yeah, technically, it could be the same for, like, any game, really, but Final Fantasy XIV is very hard to repeat your playthroughs, you know what I mean? Because it's an MMO. You just keep on doing new shit, you know what I mean? You don't want to see a game with story structure, but you play other games with story. Most people don't. It's COD Marvel, it can be quick stuff. Final Fantasy XIV, I can understand. It's built different. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. Yeah. One of the things that's one of the things why I love Final Fantasy. You know, they put a lot of effort into. You know what I find funny, actually. They put a lot of effort into Final Fantasy games, obviously. Like, they had to think of story, they had to do music, combat, graphics, of course. Just all this different kind of shit, you know? And with how many people they got working on it, I mean, they could make one in a short amount of time. A short amount of time, like, means, like, you know, like 3 years or 4 years or something, you know what I mean? That for Final Fantasy games is like a shorter amount of time. But, you know, I noticed like with fighting games though, I mean, like say, Tekken or Street Fighter or something, it takes them years to come out with a new one. Like, I think there's like a big year gap between Street Fighter 5 and 6, I could be wrong. But, I mean, all it is, I mean, is just like, it's mainly just about, like, fighting online, you know? While they have other stuff, which is cool, it's just... They don't put as much effort into them as they would a Final Fantasy game, but it still takes them a long-ass time. You know what I mean? That's actually one of the things why I don't play... One of the things why I don't play fighting games. I was about to say Final Fantasy. Fighting games, you know? Especially with the most recent Final Fantasy games, it doesn't get the credit that it deserves. It really doesn't. I mean, you've seen Final Fantasy 16 sales, they're like, what, 3 million? Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth sales is like less than that. And it's like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck is wrong with people? You know? I mean, I don't mean to be, like, mean or anything, but they put so much time and love and understanding and effort into a game, and it just doesn't get what it deserves, you know? Of course, I think Indiana Jones would get the sales and everything, of course, you know, because Indiana Jones. But that's what pisses me off so much about it. I mean, you play Astrobot, yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen clips of it. Like, it looks like a fun game. It looks like it's based off Mario, actually. Which might be a little bit of plagiarism, but... it looks like yeah, I mean, it looks like a pretty good game, actually. But do I think... No. Do I think it's Game of the Year? No, of course not. It was made by 60 people, and it took them 3 years. I mean, that's the kind of shit I'm talking about, you know? Final Fantasy had, like, thousands of people working on it. Like, literally. Actually, thousands. Like, at least 1,000, you know? And they made that shit in 3 years. It's just... Don't play Astrobot. You know what I mean? It's, like, I hate that these recent Final Fantasy games just don't get the press that they deserve. You know what I mean? I'm really worried, actually. Like, I'm seriously worried that Final Fantasy VII Part 3 is also not going to get the credit it deserves. You know what I mean? We already know it's going to be a great fucking game. It might actually be my #1 Final Fantasy. That's what be pretty scary. Like, I mean, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was my #2. And it came pretty damn close to being my #1. If it wasn't for the Shinra Mansion, it would have been my #1. So, we already know that Part 3 is just going to be, like, at least in my top 3, probably. But is it actually going to get the sales? You know? Is it going to get the sales that it deserves? I really hope so, but the way things are going with the most recent Final Fantasies, probably not, unfortunately. I really fucking hope so, but it's just... I mean, people prefer other type shit, and it's just, it pisses me off so much. I feel very strongly about this, you know what I mean? I mean, I thought the show itself was pretty great, actually. I mean, they showed some really big game titles. They had great performances, as always, you know? I mean, I think it was a great show. It really was. What sucked is that, like, no Square Enix game showed up. I was hoping to at least, you know, something Final Fantasy related would show, but then again, it is a little early for that, but with what game won Game of the Year, I just got so pissed off. It's... I mean, you probably can guess what my choice was for Game of the Year. It's pretty obvious. I was so depressed and angry. Midgar might argue with you about that, but... I mean, I haven't played it, but I've seen, like, tidbits of it, you know? Trailers and everything. It does look like a really good game. If I were to play it, I'm sure I would have fun with it and everything. It looks like a really fun game, actually, but... Do I think it's Game of the Year compared to 7 Rebirth? No. Not at all. I think Rebirth should have won. I mean, with the kind of game that it was, you know, and everything, I think Rebirth should have won. Whoa! Oh. Holy shit! Oh, cool. This is the kind of shit I'm talking about, why, Final Fantasy should win more awards than it does, you know? Like, holy shit, look at this! Music notes? That's how gaming is nowadays, sadly, yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's just... Ooh. Ah. Yeah, it's... I mean, I said my piece when we finished Indiana Jones, but... Yeah, I mean, it's just... pretty much the gist of it was, like, Final Fantasy should get more credit, deserves more credit than it gets, you know? It deserves more sales, it deserves more credit, I mean, yeah. People underestimate how good Final Fantasy is, you know? At least in my opinion. I just, like, playing Final Fantasy games makes me appreciate the effort, all the effort that they've put into those games. Especially the mainline ones, you know? Because with how good everything is, and how long it is, and the graphics, the music, the combat, I mean, just everything about the mainline Final Fantasies at least, you know? I have a huge appreciation for every one of them. Because it's all just so fucking good. Unfortunately, other people might not have their appreciation for that. I don't see why. And I was actually talking about this, one of the main reasons why I think, especially recent Final Fantasy games like Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, they don't have the sales that they probably should, you know? Because Final Fantasy 16 is like, what, 2-3 million sales, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is even less. And I'm like, what the fuck, you know? But I think one of the reasons is because they're always PlayStation exclusive games, you know? People don't have a chance to play them on other consoles like Xbox or PC. I mean, they eventually come out with the PC version, but not at first, you know? And I think that's part of the reason, but I also... But another part of the reason, which I think is actually maybe the main reason, is because people like big-time streamers, for instance, can have a huge influence on sales of a game. For example, if a big-time streamer like Kai Cenat or XQC or just one of those huge-ass guys, doesn't like Final Fantasy 16 or even Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, that can affect the sales by a lot, because a lot of people can take the advice of big-time streamers, you know? So many JRPGs been put on other platforms. Yeah, exactly, yeah. I don't know why Final Fantasy doesn't do that. I mean, they should. They really should. New way of promoting a game. Yeah, exactly. I mean, someone that can have a huge influence on hundreds of thousands or even millions of people. It can... It's funny how one person's opinion can ruin a game, especially a AAA awesome ass game, you know. That's what sucks. I mean, it can be a good thing if they love the game, of course, but it also sucks when they don't love it, when they should, you know. I mean, I would appreciate any game that's developers would put a lot of effort into, you know, even if it's not Final Fantasy. Like I love fucking God of War. I love fucking Resident Evil, The Last of Us. You know, all the series that we played. I haven't hated any game so far, except for Resident Evil Code Veronica. I hate that game. But besides that, I mean, I either like or love every game that I played on stream so far, you know? Content creators have... content creators on here's to what gets played enough or not. Yeah, I get what you're saying, yeah. It's crazy, it is, yeah. I'm thankful enough to even play a game. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. I mean... I forgot we had a time limit with this dungeon. We still got an hour. But yeah, that's enough. I mean, me too, Zulin. I mean, back before I started streaming, actually, I only played the Final Fantasy series. I mean, mostly because I loved it, but also because I just didn't have enough money to play any other games, you know? I mean, I didn't have a rich family. We were not a rich family, so, I mean, it was just enough to play Final Fantasy. And I was always appreciative and thankful for it. Yeah, my gripes about a game but never tarnished his name. Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, the unfortunate thing about big-time streamers, about a lot of big-time streamers, I'm not saying that this is for everybody, but is that they could be super spoiled, you know? I could name a few big-time streamers that's great examples, actually, but I'm not going to do that. You grew up humble? Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, there are some big-time streamers that I watch that, in my opinion, like, they seem like really good people, but I think that they're also way too fucking critical. I mean, like, they can gripe about every single little thing about a game, even though no video game is perfect. I mean, even my favorite Final Fantasy, I would say it's perfect, but it's not perfect, you know? No video game is ever going to be perfect. So, the fact that they complain about the little stuff so much that it's ridiculous is... I'm just like... Why are these big-time streamers even big-time streamers, you know what I mean? I mean... And that's just the unfortunate thing about it. Not that I'm saying that they don't deserve it, it's just... It's a little much. It's a little too much. Making him political, that's how you lose me. Yeah. Yeah. I can have my gripes about a game, but I'm not gonna hate the game because of it, you know? When everything else is good. I mean, that's one of my pet peeves, you know? When people complain about, just every little thing. When they already have so much, you know? You just all want to have fun, yeah. Yeah, people who are way too critical, I mean, it's unfortunate, like, because, like I said, it could just have a huge effect on sales of games. And there's so much pressure on devs, and the video game industry, just in general, to make a game as good as possible, because of those people, you know? And I think that's really unfortunate. And if we were... I can't pause this game. If we were to become big-time streamer by a small chance, which that would be great, but I wouldn't be one of those people, you know? And if I ever do become one of those people, let me know, chat, and that way I can realize my ways and just stop it, you know? I do not want to become one of those... I'd rather just play video games for fun with a small community than become spoiled and become a big-time streamer, if that makes sense. Once you get spoiled, you forget where you come from. Yeah, I mean, that is so true. The same applies with, for example, anybody that gets paid a lot. Like actors or sports players or just anything like that. My goal here in this channel is just to build as big a community as possible and just to have as much fun as possible, you know? Because when you build a big community, like it can be a lot of fun, you know? It especially makes video games a lot more fun when you have friends to play with, you know? Or if you're just in the community in general, like in the chat room, you know? It makes everything so much more fun than just being by yourself. So I'm just like, why can't people just enjoy that, you know? Why does it have to be like the way it is now?
Right on our journey through the realms of fantasy. Leon, the master of chaos, his power sets us free. Screaming through the night as darkness wraps around.